Hello everyone, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Emily.
And I am Bloody Dan.
And we are the hosts and guests of the I Don't Think So podcast, where we decide if we think conspiracy theories are real or if we really don't think so.
Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we present our theories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every single Wednesday. If you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a like, a share, follow us on X now.
Hate that.
I would prefer it just to have remained Twitter, but at I Don't Think So _EH.
Yeah, and we also are on Instagram and Threads with the same username. So as you heard, we have a special guest today.
Yes, I'm pretty excited. I am Hannah's wife or husband. Also, I don't want anybody to think I'm like weird, Bloody Dan. I just like Bloody Marys.
Thanks for the
clarification.
Yeah, we really need that. So I planned a theory today that I feel like Dan will be able to have some good insight on.
Probably.
And so literally like 5 minutes ago, we invited him to join.
And here he is.
Yep, I just kind of was like, I'm not leaving the couch, so here we are.
And are you excited?
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
Perfect. So last week, Emily presented us her theory.
Yeah, and it was a bunch of those theories that were conspiracy theories at the time and then actually have been proven to be true, or at least partially true now.
And we're kind of on the same framework this week.
Are we?
So I really enjoy listening to podcasts, and one of my favorite podcasts that I liked to listen to, I actually got Dan to listen to, and that will kind of go into our theory as well. So that's why he's going to be here too.
Yeah, there's nothing better than driving through Iowa and listening to podcasts, because that's just a shit state. So.
It was awful.
There's nothing to do with
We
Iowa.
literally finished like a 10-hour podcast just like driving through Iowa.
Didn't stop at the Corn Palace. That's actually not. That's out. What is that? South Dakota?
I have no idea.
I think that's in South Dakota.
I don't know, but it wasn't fun.
No. But anyway, so my theory for you today involves UFO sightings and are aliens real? So I feel like for a long time I've always been very interested in like extraterrestrial life and like if aliens are real. Like I just find it very fascinating. And I feel like the younger generation is very like just open that like they're probably real. Like I don't think that there's even like to me I don't think there's even a question. Like I feel they are.
I think NASA's even come out now and said like, have you seen anything on the news now about the crash with the bodies?
Well, so we're going to talk about how this is kind of developed. So anyway, I have some information. So I really think that they're real, but there's like a ton of historical documentation of aliens, and people have claimed to have seen like UFOs or unidentified flying objects for centuries. And you can even like Google like lists of like all documented sightings of them. So I just have some like kind of interesting ones. So the earliest one that I was able to find dated back to 1450 BC in ancient Egypt, where there's documentation of how like a star came down from the sky and was glowing and like floating. So that's the earliest documentation of it. In 218 BC in Rome, they cited that phantom ships had been seen gleaming in the sky. And also, again...
Like the Flying Dutchman?
That's what I thought of in SpongeBob. And then, again, in Rome, on April 14th, 1561, so a lot more recently, residents of Nuremberg described an aerial battle that they were watching, followed by the appearance of a large black triangular object, and then a crash outside the city. And a broadsheet recorded that witnesses observed hundreds of spheres, cylinders, and like other odd shaped objects that moved like erratically overhead, which is like if you listen to a lot of like documented alien sightings or UFO sightings, I should say, like a lot of them have really odd shapes, like black triangular ships have been documented more recently, and like tic tac shaped objects and things like that.
Like Q-tips or shape or something similar to that.
Yeah.
Like the end of a Q-tip or
like
the whole shape?
Like almost like a cigarette. Like they've been called like they look like a cigarette before.
Yes. Again, even more recently, in 1803 in Japan, a local fisherman reportedly found a closed vessel with small windows, and they said that when they investigated it, a beautiful young woman with red and white hair dressed in strange clothes emerged with a square box that no one was allowed to touch. And she spoke to them in a language they'd never heard before. Which, if you're thinking back in like 1803, there wouldn't have been like flying ships, right? And then again, this was the first one that I've seen documented in the United States. But from 1896 to 1897, newspapers across California and then later other states printed reports of strange airships. And then common elements among them included like flapping wings, a cigar-shaped body, and a metal hull. So in like the 1950s, the U.S. started to like document a lot of these UFO sightings. So one set of documents that's kind of famous for this is known as Project Blue Book, and it includes retired declassified records from the United States Air Force. And it's currently still in custody of the National Archives, so you can like request this information now. It's all public record since it's declassified, and it relates to the investigations of UFOs from 1947 to 1969. And according to the U.S. Air Force fact sheet, a total of 12,618 sightings were reported to Project Blue Book. And during this time period, of those, like a little over 1,200 or 12,000, 701 still remain unidentified. They couldn't figure out what it was.
Jeez.
And the project was once headquartered in the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, but it officially ended, in quotes, in 1969, though they still told people to like document or report strange sightings.
Mm-hmm. When did it become declassified?
More recently. I think it has to like have so many years of like inactivity. I don't know exactly how many, but people have like investigated it recently.
Okay.
Others, however, are very fascinated in this, and many articles, books, and podcasts still like go back to this. So this kind of relates to this podcast that Dan and I listened to. So there's this podcast that I've told you about it. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but it's called High Strange.
I've listened to the first two. I've not listened to the third one.
Yeah, and it dives into like UFO sightings and abductions, hosted by Payne Lindsay. So he was like a previous podcaster that I really, really liked. And he did this. And as you listen to these interviews, it has like firsthand accounts of people like claiming to be abducted, claiming to witness these things. And there's like very high level people working like in the military, chiefs of police stations that are like, I saw these things and I have no idea what they were. And so it's just like really interesting. So I thought, Dan, you want to talk a little bit about what you found interesting about that?
Aliens are real, man.
Now you've heard it here first, folks.
I just,
Thanks for listening.
The stories.
And we're done.
Literally, that's it. They're real. I don't care what anybody else says. But actually, though, once you listen to the podcast, if anybody else listens to the other podcasts out there, you find that all the sightings are pretty much the same. And the ones that are like in depth, like people who thought they got abducted or said they got abducted, a lot of those abductions all are the same way. So it's pretty, how many people, these are people that I've never met, they're in different time periods, like 20s or 30s, all the way up to the 60s, 70s, and recent, and they all have the same story almost. So it's kind of, how do you not believe that? Like, these people didn't all get together in a room and say, hey, we're going to do this, and we're all going to say the same thing. That just didn't happen. They may have heard each other's stories, I don't know, but the one in particular, I think it was I don't know if it was the first season or the second season of that podcast.
There's only one season.
Only one season.
It's like 3 long episodes.
Yeah, it was. But it was like the first.
Like the first
episode, the first guy, the like lumberjack dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like that story, I think, because originally before the podcast, I wasn't like, aliens or whatever. I don't know if they're real or whatever. You know, kind of like ghosts. Are ghosts real? I don't know. Maybe that's the next one. We don't know.
Thanks, Dan. I was looking for ideas.
Okay, well, there you go. You heard it here first. Bloody Dan. So,
Bloody Mary.
Oh, I was thinking of Bloody Baron from Harry Potter. He's one of the ghosts in Hogwarts. Sure. Continue.
Anyway, though, yeah. It's a really good podcast. But it was interesting because that story, I think, turned me. Because how do you have... It's just, how do you make up a story like that and go through the trouble of actually... making it seem that real where like everybody's, it's just real,
And I think what's weird for me is like what the host said. He's like, this guy has nothing to gain.
No.
By like continuing to say it. Like he's not making money off of it. He's not like episode he says like this has ruined my life.
Yeah.
Like so either it happened or he now believes it's happened and he has convinced himself of this lie. But to me, it's like, I just don't know how it could be fake.
Right. Well, to me, it's like, I don't know if it's just like more recently with everybody coming out now, with NASA coming out and the government coming out being like, yeah, aliens are real, LOL, cool. But I feel like now you're hearing of all these people who are like really high up in the military, who are Air Force people who fly all the time. And like, everybody who's been up there for long enough says they've seen something.
Right.
And to me, I don't understand how that many people are like, this weird thing that I'm not benefiting off of, people are going to call me crazy, people are going to not believe me, I could be court-martialed, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't see the benefit of coming down and saying, like, I've had these very similar experiences as others.
Right. So that kind of leads me into, like, what she's kind of referencing is this recent congressional hearing that shed a lot of new light into the topic of UFOs and aliens. So, like recently, a whistleblower from the U.S. military, a high-ranking military officer, came forward discussing a lot of these like cover-ups that were happening within the government, of them not talking about how they're like still actively investigating what they call UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, which is like the same thing as UFOs.
Yeah.
But they call them UAPs. And so there's just like a lot of like unexplained sightings, and they actually have like possession of a lot of different like technology and things like that they're trying to reverse engineer supposedly and doing all these things. So what initially intrigued me to this article as I was looking at it was like, this is one of the first times in really, really recent history that like there's been a lot of like bipartisan agreement that like this needs to be like investigated and like brought to light. And I'm like, for our current political scheme to like work together on something, it must be pretty serious. So they have come together and kind of like organized 5 of like the biggest talking points that have happened from this. Because of the like national security questions, there's still some things that they can't necessarily share, but it's still kind of interesting just to see what they think is happening. So first off, the government is absolutely in possession of UAPs. They have recovered different crafts, and David Grush, which is a former U.S. intelligence official that was working high up within the military, told the panel that he is absolutely certain that the federal government is in possession of UAPs, citing interviews that he said conducted with over 40 witnesses over a 4-year period that he's been investigating and being supervised of, and he was the whistleblower. And the former U.S. official said that it led the Defense Department to like look into this multi-decade program and trying to reconstruct these UAPs to be able to use this technology potentially. And one of the representatives asked how the program was getting funding, and Grush claimed that the effort is above congressional oversight, meaning they're going above these Congress's like heads and misappropriating funds to fund this program. And like the government is very much aware of this. Like the people who are in charge know that like they are purposely doing that and not telling Congress so that the public didn't know. And he said, so does this mean that there's money in the budget that is set to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else? And Grush said, yes, I have some specific knowledge of that, but he didn't necessarily go into like which
budget was getting money.
And so to me, like I initially thought like the military gets so much money.
I was gonna say the military.
It's probably part of that, but they're saying it's for like
new equipment
or something, and then they're putting into that is what I'm guessing. Second big thing is that non-human biologics were found at the crash site.
I just saw that.
Yeah, and Grush, who underscored, said he didn't personally spot the UAP, told the panel that he knows of multiple colleagues who were injured by UAPs, and they recovered non-human biologics from one of the crashes. And he prefers to use the term non-human rather than alien or extraterrestrial, but that doesn't mean that it's not. They just say non-human.
Okay. Potato.
Right, and that's kind of how I was. And
so, do you think he's doing that because he wants to be like, I'm a scientist?
Well, and so then people tried to ask him more, like, can you give more description of that? And he said that the details are too sensitive to the public, that they can't be shared.
I was gonna say they would like going back to like
I don't know how much of that got cut out because I just noticed that our microphone got unplugged. So what we're talking about is how they've recovered non-human biologics from this crash.
Right. So going back to like the money thing, which we haven't, you guys may not have heard, but they're essentially saying that they're stealing money from other parts, or maybe the money's all going into one thing to like back this project or whatever. And like, but the military would never say that they're doing research on aliens.
No.
Like they would never say that money is going towards that because that would be too much of a shock. And they also would never say that they found like alien remains or have an alien body or anything. Like they would never just say that. It would just be too much for like the public to handle. Yeah.
Right. And so that's when he said, like, I have to be very careful here. What I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing, is what he said. And didn't want to go into any further detail besides that.
I hear you when you say like, oh, I have to be a little more careful because I don't want to make people worried. But I think when you are saying like, it's disturbed me to my core to see what I've seen, but I'm not going to tell you,
it's like writing on the wall. And for them to say like, I'm coming forward as a whistleblower because this is a concern to national security and it's non-human biologics that I discovered, but I'm not going to call it an alien.
It's not an alien, and I'm not going to tell you everything, but you should be worried.
Right. Like, it's just like, okay.
I feel like you're making a little bit of a panic. But
I mean, I feel like it's very similar to like vets though too, that like come back from the war. Like they don't want to talk about what they saw.
Because it's traumatic.
And it's traumatic for them, but it's also like can be traumatic for other people. So, right. And that's another reason why there's no like footage of, they don't show what it's actually like and stuff like that. So in a sense of like the government not saying or showing or doing anything like that or explaining that isn't like an uncommon thing.
No, especially because I think they're still investigating it. So I'm sure they want to be sure like of what they want to say before it comes out. Because again, this didn't come out because they wanted to. This came out because he was being a whistleblower. So that kind of moved into how officials agreed that they must establish like a safe and transparent reporting process if like a normal citizen were to like witness anything else. Like what would be a safe way to submit information without it being like spammed or something like that. And they agreed like a lot of military pilots don't feel adequately briefed on UAPs because there's been so much documentation of UAPs from pilots, and they talked about that in the podcast we listened to.
Yeah,
they're submitting these videos that they're witnessing, and these high-ranking military officers are just like, you didn't see anything.
That's crazy.
And so it's like
the gaslighting.
Yeah, and so they want to have like a way that they can be trained, and like you might, if you see this, you should do XYZ.
XYZ.
Yeah.
This is who you report it to. Move on.
Right. Especially because a lot of times these are the people seeing them because they're up in the air. Right. And then it goes into how the other big thing is like stigma associated with sightings silences a lot of possible witnesses.
Right.
So they want to talk about how like this harassment should not be like tolerated because they don't want to hinder efforts of people coming forward. And he personally said that he has gotten a lot of like professional and personal repercussions. And that's why he was like for years wanting to come forward with this information, but was being like hindered because of it. And so that's why he had to go through the process of being a whistleblower. And then finally, the big thing is like they have on like documented footage from witnesses of UFOs spotted accelerating at like supersonic speeds, which is this tic-tac object. And they're saying like this is like technology that's far superior to anything that like anyone on Earth has access to. So there's no way it can be like earthly in this time period.
Right.
So like we know that there's something out there. We don't know what it is. And like aliens are real. And then what I think was the funniest thing is that then they put this out there and they're like, oh no, this is going to cause this big uproar. And like everyone's like, inflation sucks. I can't buy a house. They canceled my student loan like forgiveness. You want me to worry about aliens? Like, I'm not worried about it. Like there's so many memes of people being like, this is not my biggest concern. Like,
right now, I'm not concerned that like I might get abducted.
Right. They're like, when there's one who was like, if I get abducted, do I not have to pay my rent?
Will someone take care of my cat if I get abducted?
Yeah. And so I just think it's funny that like that's the level of our society right now.
Well, because I remember it came out in like the middle of COVID where NASA was literally like, yeah, just so you know, like aliens are real. And everybody's like, cool, it's a Wednesday and my grandma just died in the hospital. Like, I don't care.
Right. And then now they've come forward with this and they're like, okay,
I'm busy.
What am I going to do about it? And that's what I think is funny too about this podcast. He's like, if you want to get off the hamster wheel and of your everyday routine, you're going to start seeing these things and like you can investigate it. But like, how much are you willing to give up your everyday life? Like, it's not hindering you at this point. Right. Like aliens being here because they're probably here at this point. Like, obviously they are if we have recovered these things. Like, they've touched down, they've been here. And it didn't affect me personally, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So like, yes, it's kind of scary maybe. But
it's
like
a little bit like the boogeyman, a little.
Yeah.
It's scary for people who have seen Independence Day. Anybody out there? Leave a comment. What did you think of Independence Day? Is that happening to us?
Ooh, you're like a good like interaction person.
I'm just saying, have you seen the movie Independence Day?
A very long time ago.
No.
You haven't seen it, Emily?
No.
Watch it. It's Independence Day. We literally, aliens take
we're like,
over.
We're fighting them off to like defend Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, so if aliens come down, I hate to break it to you. If they've got all this equipment,
we're fucked.
We're screwed.
Yeah,
right.
We don't
fight. What's the point?
Yeah, they have.
I'll be your slave.
Yeah, no.
I'm a slave for you. I can fight. No, I can't deny it.
I wonder what space buddies are like.
Ooh,
that could be your thing, Dan. You can just
I could like make aliens Bloody Marys. Like, how fucking badass would that be?
You are a good bartender.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go, Dan.
I don't bartend, but I could.
He bartends for his friends and for his extraterrestrial master.
And any family function.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of wraps up all the information I have. I guess I just want to know what your opinion is on it. Like, are you, because there's some people saying like they're just faking this to try to just like make a ruckus. Like, I before this very much believed in aliens, and now I'm just like, yep,
I was right all along. I think I've always believed in aliens because the universe is huge. Like, you can't tell me that if you believe that we are one galaxy of like infinitely many galaxies, that there's a guarantee that there's life somewhere else out there who developed a million years ago before we did or whatever, and they're just way more advanced. So honestly, I always thought there was aliens. And now I'm like, meh. I knew Race to Witch Mountain was always true.
I forgot about that movie. The Rock.
And The Rock.
In Dakota Fanning?
I think so.
I think so.
I believe it's Dakota. As I find my cell phone, all will be well.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I guess kind of like what Emily was saying. Very much so. I do think they're real. Like I said before, I started off kind of a non-believer. Only in the sense of I am very much a person where I have to see it to believe it.
No, it's the chick from Bridge to Terabithia.
I also like trust
Anna
people.
Sophia. Anna Sophia Robb.
Who is it?
Yeah, it's the chick from.
Also, it's Alexander Ludwig. It is not.
Josh, you're thinking of Bridge to Terabithia because she's in Bridge to Terabithia with Josh Hutcherson, but she's also in this with that guy. My bad. Sorry, continue.
Anyway, I would have really liked to have a sip of Bloody Mary there while they went off on that tangent.
We should have made drinks.
We should have made drinks.
I brought you booze.
We should call this the Bloody Podcast. That'd be an interesting name, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for a mostly women podcast. But just thinking, they're definitely real. There's definitely life that's a lot more equipped and can do things and have better technology. We're not the only ones here. I think we'd be kind of stupid to think that we're not, or we are the only ones here. So yeah, I would say that I'm now a believer. I still have to see it. Like, I think once I see it, and hopefully it's not Independence Day, but if I do or were to see anything, then I think for me, it would do it.
For sure.
For sure. Like, it would just nail it, in the coffin. And I base myself off of, trust, and I really have to see things out of people to believe things. So I think for me, that's what would really nail it down. They're definitely real, but I want to see it.
Sure. Like, curiosity.
But, like, don't kidnap me. Like, unless they got Bloody Marys, then maybe I'm down. But, and somebody has to take care of my cat.
Maybe Mittens can come when?
No, I think this is just a me thing. I think I'm just going to go off into space and party.
You're going to leave me?
Well, I'll come back. They always come back.
Oh, true. Okay, well, yeah, that kind of wraps up our first segment.
Woohoo!
So, Dan, you've mentioned that you like our Absolutely Not segments. We've kind of been on this Am I the Asshole kick that are leading into our Absolutely Nots.
Ooh, I like that. I like that Am I the Asshole. That's shit.
And so I have one today, and we'll talk about it. But then if there's any Absolutely Nots that you want to share afterwards, you need to get off your chest, you can. Does that sound good?
Right on. I got to think about it.
Well,
like I said, I'm on the spot right now. So.
Well, that's why I said I'll do the Am I the Asshole first, so you have some time to think.
Right on.
Good? Okay.
Do you want to hold this?
Sure. So, am I the asshole for calling my coworker a nosy bitch after she kept insisting to know my husband's salary? My husband and I, both 33, have been together since college. Over the years, he had quite the career trajectory. He's a quaint PM and makes 10 times what I make. I make a good salary. Haha. And we've grown wealthier. I've learned that people become nosier. Friends, acquaintances, relatives, you name it. In the beginning, I would entertain the nosy questions, but since I turned 30, I've adopted a take no shit attitude. When people ask me how much he makes, I no longer say anything. I've learned the hard way that giving an exact number can have bad consequences. My coworker, 25, is new, and she already has quite the reputation. Very chatty, catty, gossipy. You get the gist. You can just tell she craves wealth and status. She wears a bunch of flashy designer items and is always asking the ladies around the office which of the men are single. Last Friday, our office hosted an afternoon happy hour. She approached me and asked me about me and my husband's recent vacation to Europe. I told her it went well and briefly summarized what we did. Then the conversation went something like this. Her. So what does your husband do? Me. He works in finance. Her. Oh, wow. He must make a ton then to be taking you on all these lavish vacations. I hope you don't mind me asking, but how much does he make a year? Me. Yes, we're very lucky that he makes good money. Polite smile. Her. Oh, come on. You won't tell anyone. How much does he rake in a year? Millions? Me. Awkward chuckle. I'd rather not say, but it's up there. Her. What? He doesn't allow you to give an exact number or something? Me, visibly annoyed. No, I just prefer not to say. Her laughs in my face. You'd think the stuck-up one would be the one with money, not the one without.
Holy shit.
Me, you should learn how to take no for an answer and when to quit being such a nosy bitch. It's a valuable lesson. Then I smiled at her and walked away. Later on, I had a few coworkers reach out to me and say that she was crying and left early and that I should apologize for calling her a rude name. I refused. I told my mom, and she said I was too rude to the new girl and that she's young and might not fully understand salary talk. I think she's old enough. Husband is fully on my side and said maybe I should fake apologize for the sake of office politics, which I somewhat agree with, but still, am I the asshole?
No. Firstly, if you are willing to ask that question, which I think it's rude to ask that question to someone you've just met, I think you can have salary talk with people you're close to, and it's not like a taboo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're like, oh, I'm the new person on the block. Your husband took you on a nice vacation. What does he make? As soon as the person you ask says, oh, he makes good money, that's when you realize they're not going to give you an exact number, so fucking drop it.
Right. Like, if they wanted to give you an exact number, they'd give you an exact number right away. Also, I'm 25. Dan's 25. You're old enough to know, like, when you're being rude and nosy. You're not young.
Debatable.
What do you mean?
Some people, it doesn't matter how old you are, they don't pick up on social cues at all. So.
But do you think that the chick was being an asshole for calling her a nosy bitch?
I think the chick wanted her husband, probably. But, like, also the whole salary talk thing, I mean, you can have a salary talk with people you don't know about how much you make. That's how you present that, I think.
Well, right. But if she's, like, purposely not telling you and not telling you and not telling you, is she then an asshole after she's, like, after the chick said, like, I'm surprised you're the stuck-up one?
No, I would say she's not the asshole, but I feel like the way she handled it was not the right way.
How would you have handled it?
I would have just walked away and not said anything. Probably.
Wow, you're so mature. He's almost 26.
Also, I agree with the husband. She definitely should fake an apology to make up with the office stock, because I work in an office, and let me tell you, you make one person mad and you're the outcast, it's going to turn against you. So, yeah, definitely apologize, and as much as it's going to suck, just kind of live with the realization that you're going to have to be civil no matter what, because in this day and age, especially in business and businesses in general, like, they're just not going to tolerate that kind of stuff.
Well, that's probably
it's
fair.
A very, very touchy. How you treat people nowadays is very touchy. So
that is true.
I think you could have definitely said what she said in a way that she didn't say it. You know, like, you didn't need to say you're a nosy bitch. You could say, and you need to learn a lesson not to be so freaking nosy.
Yeah.
And when someone tells you no, like, you could have cut out the cuss word and she would have still gotten the message, but maybe she wouldn't have gone off crying. Also, I agree that you probably should just, like, apologize. But I have this feeling that then you're expected to tell her what your husband's salary is as, like, part of your apology. And if you're not comfortable saying it, just say, I don't like discussing my husband's salary with people. That is why I told you shouldn't know. I shouldn't have called you a bitch. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I do think, though, like, in Bloody Mary talk, okay, in Bloody Mary talk,
this is personality
if somebody made me a shitty Bloody Mary, or somebody made you a shitty drink, would you go up to the bartender and be like, "This is a fucking shitty drink, make me a new one"?
No.
No, you would drink it and you'd go up there and say, "Hey, bucko, maybe a little less sea salt, okay? I don't know, a little less lime, all right."
I'm not confrontational. I would say, shit.
Right, I understand that, but like for me, I would say it in a like nice way, like, "Hey, maybe a little less salt or maybe a little less pepper. You never know." But I'm just saying, coming out with the like nosy bitch hair flip walk away, like, whoa, okay.
It was a little much, but I understand because she was like she kept pressing.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, she wanted that guy. She wanted the husband. I mean, the dude probably obviously makes really good money. Maybe this guy's a fucking model. We don't know. He
works in finance. She just said he worked in finance.
I mean, maybe he's a good-looking dude,
okay.
Emily.
No, I do agree that I think she went a little far in saying, like, you're a nosy bitch. But I don't blame her for, like, kind of telling this girl, like, step off and stop asking.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the comments were, like, be civil, but you're not the asshole. Yeah. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But also apologize.
Dan, have you thought of any of your absolutely nots?
Oh, no.
If you don't have one, you can come back next week and just share an absolutely not on when I present.
I think one of my absolutely nots is like...
Goes on a 20-minute rant.
It's like Crocs in public. Like...
Oh my God.
Like, keep the fucking dogs in the Crocs at home, okay? I just don't know how to say that nicely.
So you don't want to call someone a nosy bitch, but you can say keep the Crocs and the dogs at home.
You know that right now the comment section is going to go fucking crazy. Croc hater. In reality, I've had Crocs, okay? They're awesome. But keep them at fucking home. They're not like I'm going to wear this out on date night or like I'm going to go out with the boys wearing my fucking Crocs. No, okay? Buy a pair of dudes or Jesus sandals. I just, either way.
You think Jesus sandals are better than Crocs?
I'm not a big thong flip-flop fan. So that's my, like, I don't like toes.
I would say sandals are better, yeah. Crocs just rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a super strong opinion about it. I don't like when people try to dress Crocs up.
Yeah.
Like, it really drives me nuts when I see somebody who's like, I'm in a dress and I put Crocs on. Or I'm in slacks and I put Crocs on. And it's like, that's not their purpose.
That's a choice.
That's wrong. I don't know. I think it's so mainstream for people to wear Crocs nowadays that it just is one of those pairs of shoes that I'm like, I'm not going to own a pair. I don't really care for the way they look. I feel like my feet sweat a lot and I'll just create a little puddle in my own shoes. And that's not appealing to me. So I won't own a pair. I don't have a very strong opinion on it, Dan, but go off.
Yeah, I don't know. The Croc, I don't know. I mean, I don't own a pair of Crocs now. Although your dad does own Crocs.
He wears them in public all the time.
And I'm like, shit.
Michael.
Come on, dude. Just put the white tennies back on.
Break the Skechers rack out.
Bring me those New Balances.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah. Well, that was a great first episode from Dan.
Good job, Dan.
Honestly, yeah, this is good.
Good shit, huh?
It's Bloody Dan, though.
Sorry, Bloody Dan.
Yeah, that's my stage name.
If you like what you heard, definitely like and share our podcast. Follow us on X or Threads or Instagram at I don't think so _EH. And definitely send us a DM if you want Dan to come back. Bloody Dan to come back.
Yeah, Bloody Dan. Anyway, so I know we're finishing up here, but like X, is that like, what is that?
That's Twitter now.
Elon Musk changed the name of Twitter to X.
Okay, because every time it pops up on my phone, I'm like, hey, that looks like something I shouldn't be looking at. You know what I mean?
Oh, it sucks.
I hate it.
Don't like it.
I hate it. It's not okay.
You're on Twitter too, right?
I am on Twitter.
Or X?
X.
Do you know what your username is?
I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. I'm more of like
Instagram?
I'm an Instagram girly, I would say.
Do you know what your Instagram is?
My Instagram?
Yeah,
it's like it's gonna be so dumb. I made it in high school. It's like Dan F150 or something. Oh, it's like Dan 1968. I think is what it is.
Daniel Shuby 1968.
I think it's just Dan 1968.
Well, you can follow him on Instagram.
Should I look real quick?
Yeah, give the
Follow
listeners what they want.
Also, I'm a ginger, so
that's why he's bloody.
He's Bloody Dan. That's what they actually call him it for.
Oh no, where's my oh?
Click on your profile.
Oh no.
No.
This is like teaching my dad how to turn on
Hey,
his
watch
cell phone.
it. I never
Dan _1967.
That's what it is. Hit it up. See what it is all about. I haven't posted anything since like 4 months ago, so that shit's popping.
You can see how he posted the same picture of us 3 posts in a row.
Okay.
He's like, it's a good photo. I don't know what you want from me.
They're in a row right now, too.
It's an absolutely not for her. I know it is. I messed up, everybody. I get it. Okay.
What you gonna do? Oh, good try, Dan.
But anyway, come back next week and we'll have something fun to get to the last couple weeks of our first season.
Of our very first season. Freaking year-long season, Jesus.
I know. And then we'll probably take a little break and then we'll come back.
Yeah. So, but we will see you all next week.
Bye.